The topic is quite pertinent to the theme, and those Pastor Fida, the things that he has highlighted, I would let you know in detail how to handle your stressful situation and how to have the alacrity in your life and how to do things with alacrity. So today's topic is quite pertinent in our daily affairs, and that is behavioral management. Next up. Fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests, a very warm good evening. Good evening. First and foremost, today I'll be delivering you a speech or a presentation for the topic of behavioral management. Behavioral management is something that we all need to learn, right? We all need to, whatever the age or stage of life that we have, we need to learn how to manage our behaviors, because behaviors is something that exactly gets the outcome we desire. First and foremost, let me ask you this question. Why did I choose this picture for this presentation? Allow me to ask you to jog your mind and tell me why I chose this picture for this presentation.
I think it's an extreme emotion.
Extreme emotions? Anything else?
The most thing that I can get out of this is that in behavioral management, we mostly face anger issues. So that's what is portrayed.
Anger is common. Anything else anyone want to contribute? Anyways, exactly the same situation. It's about the negative behavior. This picture portrays a bad behavior, and we are here to improve our bad behaviors, right? We don't have to improve our good behaviors. Good behaviors are good. What we have to learn to improve is to improve our bad behaviors into good behaviors. So this picture is basically a reflection of bad behaviors. To start expanding upon the topic, the first thing that arises, what is behavior? What do we understand from the word behavior? What is behavior in your general definition? Anything that you think to your mind, what is behavior?
The way in which you interact with the people.
The way you interact with people is behavior.
A set of conduct.
A set of conduct. Behavior. Anything? Behavior.
Your reaction to a given situation.
Your reaction to a given situation. Good. Try use in your own simple words. What is behavior? Anyways, the technical definition of behavior, here goes. Behavior is basically the expression of internal representation using words, tone, and physiology. It's basically a definition derived from neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, who I'm master of. So basically the definition is expression of internal representation using words, tone, and physiology. Now here you see some of the technical terms. The first technical term is internal representation, and then words, tone, and physiology. Internal representation is basically the perspective you hold here, and with that perspective you express yourself using words, tone, and physiology, body language. Now, what is internal representation? That basically heavily, impacts upon your deliverance. And in order to understand it deeper, I'd like to ask you to go to next slide of the presentation. That is NLP mind model. This is basically NLP mind model. It would help you to understand how internal representations are formed. First of all, we receive information. Every passing of second, we are receiving information. And as a human being, we are receiving information through 5 senses. God Almighty Allah has given us 5 senses, Alhamdulillah. And what are those senses? Touch, hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting. So we have 5 senses, and with the help of these 5 senses, we receive the information. And with the help of information, we basically process the information. We receive the information and we process the information through filters. Filters of belief, filters of experience, filters of memory, filters of school teachings, filters of values. So through these filters, we process the information. and we process the information and we convert the information into internal representation. How come? I'll explain to you in simple words. With the passage of time, over the period of our growth, we see people with beard and having a cap on our head, and we see them religious, good people. So we tend to have this ideology in our mind that if a person is having a beard and having a cap on his head, he's a good person. He may not be a good person. He may be a bad person. He may be a cheat. But through our teachings, experiences, memories, we have an internal representation. What is this internal representation? It's the perspective. Perspective about whom? Perspective about the person having a beard and having a cap. And sometimes we see a person having big mustaches, aggressive face, and we tend to see he is a goon, he is a badmash. So we tend to picture him as a goon, bully, and he may be a very polite and very good human being. I have encountered it. I met one person, I saw one person exactly at Millennium Mall. I was doing some shopping along with my family. I saw a person having a tall, high, big mustache. I thought like he would be very angry man. And in a split of second, I saw him bound down and holding the baby, and he was pampering the baby in such a cute manner that I wasn't expecting anything out of him. So this was the internal representation, that seeing his mustache, we thought he would be a bully, he would be a goon. So these filters generate internal representation. Internal representation makes our mental state. And mental state converts into behavior. So you understand the process? Alright. You may have some question, you may note it down, but at the end of the session I will give you the opportunity to ask me the question. Right? Next. So, internal representation is perspective. What do you see in this picture? Frog. What do you see in the picture? Frog. Click next. Now what do you see in the picture? Hole. So this is perspective. Some people have a different perspective of the same thing. Some people would see the picture as a frog, and some people would say it's a horse. Go back. It's a frog. Go up. It's a horse. So it's just a matter of perspective. With perspective, with the lens of perspective, we perceive things and we react to the perception of our mind. Next. Here comes, your perceptions comes, a very important thing comes up, and that is response. In the light of your perception, you respond, don't you? Your responses are formed with the help of your perception. So this is a very famous equation. This equation was coined by Stephen R. Covey in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. In that book, he basically mentioned this equation. This equation is, next, E plus R plus O. E for event. Event means situation. R for response and O for outcome. This mind-blowing equation tells us that your outcome, the result, is determined by the response you give to the event or the situation. You may see in the famous people's life, they all faced hardships, they all faced trouble, they all faced difficulties in their life. But their response to that event or the situation, the set of situations, made them great. And here we see another example. People who reacted instead of responding, who reacted to the situation, failed to overcome and doomed. I'll give you an example, a very famous story. A news reporter once interviewed a very famous lawyer, and he asked the lawyer, what is the secret of your success? And he simply said, with a gloomy voice, he said, because of my father, because he was very drunk and broke. So I decided not to become like him, and I became a very famous lawyer. After some days, the news reporter came to know that he had a brother, and the brother is in the miserable state. So he went to the brother And he asked him, why have you come into this miserable situation? And he responded in a gloomy voice, because of my father. He was very drunk and broke. He didn't give me any chance to grow, so I ended up like him. So see, situation was faced by both the person exactly the same. The way they responded made them two different entities. One successful and second unsuccessful. So every time in your life you may encounter events, opportunities, threats, challenges, but what's going to make you great is your response. When the word response comes, here comes another important information for you. Your responses are very highly important because your responses can give you very tough situations in your life. Sometimes these responses are basically in the shape of reflexes. I tell you a fact about diabetes, that one of the major causes of diabetes is stress, depression. Stress and depression are basically the reflexes, are basically mental responses to the situation. When we cannot do anything, we simply tend to stress. These reflexes simply, draw the energy out of us. So we have to learn how to control those reflexes. Normally, in the time of happiness, in the time of sad, in the time of sudden surprise, our reflexes grow up. And with those reflexes, either we can go up or we can go down. So we need to learn how to control those reflexes. A situation when something bad news comes to you, you get angry, you get mad. And when you get mad, your temperature boils up. And you tend to have stress, you tend to have anxiety, you tend to have depression. So you need to control those responses. Next. One more. So this is the strategies to control your reflexes. In case of any event that happens to you, the sudden jerk of emotion you need to control. You need to learn how to control it. How do you control it? By counting 1 to 10 in a backward manner. When any tragic news comes to you, hold down and count 1 to 10 backwards. 10, 8, 9, 8, 7, 6. See, it's a little difficult to count backwards. And you need to, this is how you get time to suppress those revolting emotions. So this is the strategy. Anything that is quite dejected, quite sad come to you, don't react to it. First count back. Count it backward, then react. For example, if any situation comes up that's going to make you angry, so in anger you will make bad decisions. So how to control it? Count 10 seconds backward. So this tool, this technique will help you control your mind, control your behaviors. Next. And there comes the circles of life. Our responses are heavily controlled by those circles. These are the circles which are basically coined by Stephen R. Covey again in his book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He gave us 3 circles. Circle of concern. This circle includes those things over which we have no control at all. No authority, no power at all. For example, inflation. Do we have any control? No. So is it good to fret, to be irritated over inflation? No good. So do not fret about those things. Do not be irritated about those things which are not in your control. If it's raining outside, you can't do anything. Why upsetting your mood? Focus on the things that you have a little or partial control. For example, inflation. You have family members. You can ask them to cooperate with you financially, cut down the expenses, learn to live within the means. And there comes the circle of control. This is the area where those things fall over which you have complete control, complete authority. For example, if your boss is having a bad behavior, you have no authority to change him. You have no power to change his attitude. No. But what you can do is to change your attitude, to change your mind, and convert yourself according to his mindset. Next. But when we think about the situations which are circle of concern, what we do? The stress. We only stress. Inflation is rising. economy is dooming, and we are in stress. We are in deep stress. Although this feeling of stress will not help us at all. So this is the very bad thing. Do not stress about the situations which are not in your control. Think about those situations. Think about those opportunities which are in your control. Next. And when this stress comes, you have three responses. You either fight, or you flight, or you freeze. How many of you experience these capacities when stress comes to you? Have you experienced stress?
I would say every single person on the table topic session has experienced it.
Some people freeze, some people fly. Yes, it also happened. And some people simply leave the room. It's time to table topic session, just leave the room. Next. Next. So the best part to control your stress is to have a conscious breathing. This is the breathing pattern. Breathe through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. Breathe in through your nose. Breathe out through your mouth. Right now, if you practice it, it will simply calm you down. Just practice it. You'll see how relaxed you will feel. You know, I'm in a stressful situation and I'm doing it, I'm enjoying it. This is the beauty. Next. So, in summary, watch your thoughts because your thoughts become your words. Watch your words because your words become your action. Watch your action because they become your habits. And your habits become character and your character become destiny. This is the message and point. Next. Now the question and answer session.